Hey guys, August has come to a close, school has started back up, and we've made it into September, and that means it's time to look back at August and look at all the movies that I saw and rank them worst to best. Now, this is one of those summers where there wasn't like a big blockbuster release that kicked off the month of August, and so this month was a little bit slow at the box office. In fact, this past weekend was the slowest weekend at the box office in 16 years. Today, there's no big release. Last weekend, there was no big release, so it's kind of an odd month, but there have been a lot of smaller movies that have been released that have actually been quite good. With all that said, let's dive into it and look at the movies of this month that I saw. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Batman and Harley Quinn. Now, this is one of those more of a direct-to-video releases, but they did a Fathom event to release it in theaters. I went out to the theater. I was pretty excited about it. It was a return to the style of Batman the Animated Series. Bruce Timm was kind of one of the story writers on it, and it's not good. It's like a comedic take on Batman that's just off. It does not work. It's a movie that if you wanted to see Batman in driving the Batmobile, Harley Quinn in the backseat farting, and then Batman goes, "Smells like discipline." This is the movie you've been waiting for your whole life. I've never wanted to see that. The story's not good. It's a clunky story. The jokes are just so baseline, low-hanging fruit. It is not good. It did not work on any level for me. Coming in at number 8 is going to be a movie coming out today called I Do Until I Don't. This is written, directed, and kind of starring Lake Bell. It's sort of an exploration of marriage and does it work, and looking at the frustrations, the struggles, the conflict that comes inside of marriage while being this lighthearted comedy, while being a critique of marriage, while trying to be celebrating marriage at the same time. And the mix in the end doesn't really work. If you like the cynical aspect of it, it doesn't really fulfill that. If you don't want to see a cynical take on marriage, you won't like that. So overall, the ingredients don't come together to make for a movie that's funny enough or insightful enough or clear enough. Like my wife and I talked about it for a long time, and we couldn't figure out exactly what the movie was trying to say about marriage, while it was very clearly trying to say something. So all in all, not a strong movie that I would recommend at all. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Death Note. This is the Netflix original film about the anime of the exact same name. Came out this past weekend. A number of people were pretty excited about it. I'd never seen the anime. I just kind of went in fresh eyes. How does this work as a movie? And I'm a fan of the director. He directed Your Next. He directed The Guest. He also did Blair Witch from last year. I haven't seen Blair Witch, but I like the first two in there. And then this one was just kind of a clunky mess. You could see where there are ideas that could be cool and how the anime would be interesting, but they added like this YA skin on top of the plot where the lead character has this girlfriend and they have this kind of Bonnie and Clyde love story with this weird Death Notebook that they're using. And I've now since then watched a little bit of the anime, and the girl's not in the anime. So a very weird direction to take it. The story's clunky. It rushes through parts that they needed to slow down on. And overall, it felt more like it should have been a TV show as opposed to a movie. And then with the YA girlfriend thing, I think they kind of took the direction and the focus of it entirely in the wrong direction. So these bottom 3, they're movies I give like a 4.5, a 4 out of 10. Very weak films, very little positives to say about them. And the next one on our list, I have a few things positive to say about it. Coming in number 6 is going to be The Dark Tower. So there had been quite kind of a lot of buzz about this one because it's been in the works for a long time. It's based off of a bunch of books by Stephen King, and there'd been different iterations with Ron Howard working on it. Maybe it was going to be a TV show. Maybe it's still going to be a TV show. They bring in Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba. So it looked like maybe this was going to be good. And then they announced the runtime, and it was only like 95 minutes based off all this books, all this mythology. And that's what the movie felt like. It felt like the pilot to a TV show. It felt like the summary of the mythology as opposed to an actual story in there. It was so condensed. So much of the stuff that would make it interesting and fill it out is gone. So you just kind of have these ideas introduced that you don't really get to see where they go. So all in all, it was a frustrating movie that, I liked some of the characters in it. There was a couple cool action sequences. A few of the jokes worked in it. The kid worked. But the overall product just felt like the Cliff Notes of a much better book. It felt like a summary, a Wikipedia article about the pilot of a TV show as opposed to actually a full story. Moving up from here, we're actually going to move into movies I gave a positive. Dark Tower is like a 5.5 on it. So coming in at number 5 is going to be Annabelle Creation. So I'm not the biggest scary movie type person, but I don't mind them at the same time. And like many other people, I've really enjoyed the Conjuring series for the most part and what they've kind of delivered there. And this is no exception, like a creepy story about these orphans living at this home, and you don't really know what's kind of going on. And I would just call it a solid, scary movie. It didn't blow my mind. I was like, this is amazing. You got to go see it. It was just like, if you like this kind of thing, you're going to like this movie. It's not going to win you over to the genre if you don't like this kind of thing. But if you kind of enjoy this thing at all, this is a solid entry into this franchise, and it's a solid entry into the scary movie genre. And so I had a good time with it. Didn't mind seeing it, but this is not one I'd be like telling my wife who doesn't like scary movies, oh, this is the one that'll convince you. That'd be my kind of take on it. Moving it to number 4 on my list is going to be the Hitman's Bodyguard. This movie I had a lot of fun with. I've heard a lot of people criticizing it for being too cliche, too obvious of a plot. We've seen a ton of movies like this before. It rests entirely on the chemistry of the two leads. And I'd agree with all of that. I just don't see that as negatives, though. That's why it's not like a best of the year. That's not why it's not an amazing movie. It's not reinventing anything. But sometimes you just want some movies that are cheap, easy entertainment. And that's all this is. And I would recommend it only on that level. But a lot of the times, that's what I want. Cheap, easy entertainment. And the phrase I constantly use about this is like Taco Bell movies. So for me, my wife and I, my kids, we go to Taco Bell every Sunday after church, and sometimes midweek we go to Taco Bell. It's not great food. It's not really Mexican food. It's just kind of Mexican food processed through machines as a product that's fun to eat. My tacos are always soggy. We still get it every single week. It's easy to consume. It's nice. That's what this movie, it's easy to consume. The two leads are great, likable, it's fun, and that's all I want. It's just easy. It's the sort of movie I can imagine watching late at night. Like, hey, I don't want to like sit there and watch anything. I just want something on in the background. Hitman's Bodyguard. I'll put that on again. Yeah, this one's kind of fun to put on. Same way like romantic comedies 10, 15 years ago, where they all had the exact same plot, but they would change out the story structure of when certain beats happen in the movie. Same in every single one of them. And you'd change out the premise. So why are these two people that don't belong together being brought together? Well, he makes a bet that he can make any woman love him in 10 days. She makes a bet that she can break up with any guy in 10 days. There, premise for a movie, put them together, they fall in love. 20 minutes before the movie ends, the truth comes out, they break up, and then they come back together in the last 10 minutes. So, that's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but that's a bunch of other movies as well. That exact template of how the story comes together, you just change out the gimmick. And then you put two likable leads that are fun and funny in it. That's what this movie is. It's not a rom-com, but it's a buddy action com, where it's all about the two leads. The format works, the structure works, it follows it. It's a good time. I gave it an 8 in my review. Maybe I dripped that down just a little bit, maybe, but I don't even know. I had a lot of fun with it. I really liked it. Coming in at number 3 for me is going to be Shotcaller. This is one of the movies, I didn't even see a trailer for it. Kind of going under the radar, but a really cool little drama, prison drama, that in some ways, story-wise, it's not really like Breaking Bad, but it touches on a lot of the themes of family man with normal job, breaks bad, turns evil. And in this case, it's the story of a guy that goes to prison because of a drunken driving manslaughter charge, where he accidentally kills someone while drunk driving. And because he goes to prison and trying to survive there inside the culture that he's put in, basically turns into a really evil guy. And for me, my take on it is this probably would have been a great TV show that's structured like Breaking Bad, short seasons and covering these different time frames, having a clear set ending to it. Could have been amazing. They did a movie, and so it feels like if you took Breaking Bad and condensed it into a 2-hour movie, and it does kind of like time jumps and stuff, so it feels a little bit like we're rushing through things, but it's still a compelling story, and so I really enjoyed this movie. It's a very good movie. I think it could have been a great TV show. Really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 2 for me, it's going to be Wind River. So this is a movie I saw yesterday. Very cool murder mystery, character-based thriller. And basically there's someone killed on an Indian reservation and they're just trying to investigate what's going on. But it's not so much that there's like this really in-depth mystery of how this happened, where this happened. No, it's about the characters and how they interact with the situation and understanding the loneliness of a place. And so it just kind of pulls you in because you care about the characters and their reactions to it and what's going on. And there's always a little bit more depth to things and more reflective on things. And so I really enjoyed it. There's a couple things that it was like you were almost a great movie. You were almost there. And there's just a couple places where it just steps out of this such grounded, realistic characters. And it shifts into, it felt like a little bit more Hollywoody. We got to make these guys real bad and we got to take it to that next level. And so a couple places it just goes too far, but it was almost a great, amazing movie. Very, very good movie still that I've thoroughly enjoyed. Coming in at number 1 on my list, for a bunch of people, it's going to be their last on their list. It is The Glass Castle. This is, since I've started this channel, the movie I've gotten to the most heated debates with people and had the most divisive response to it. Because some people watch this movie and they think it is just glorifying alcoholism, glorifying and praising an alcoholic as if he's this hero free thinker. And that's repugnant to them. And I've gotten into a bunch of people like that. For me, I saw the film as a movie that does the best job of any film I have ever seen, or any TV show, or anything I've ever seen, that seemed to capture the confusing cognitive dissonance and irrational thoughts and emotions that people have towards their family that have grown up in dysfunctional, broken families. So like in my situation, I grew up with an alcoholic father. There was certainly some borderline abuse in there, but nothing like in this movie, nothing to the extremes of the movie. But I can certainly relate to the confusion of the daughter whose perspective is being told in the story of she liked her dad. She enjoyed her family. She had fond memories of her childhood. And these moments that are kind of awful to her, that are in a certain sense, us as the outsiders, we see them as these awful stories of child abuse. But to her fond childhood memories of her dad, but she's fully aware of the cognitive dissonance and that these two things don't go together, but that's still the emotion that she has for her childhood. And that's the emotions I have for my child. The way I reflect on stories from my childhood are so wacky because I have these fond, goofy, funny stories about my dad that I figured out later in life were stories of abuse. But the emotion that I've held my entire life towards the story was this fun, quirky story about my dad and how wacky he was when he got drunk. And so there are horrible stories that I had to tell them to people and they looked at me like I was crazy before I realized the disconnect in there. And that's what this movie is. It represents something that's very difficult to capture on screen. And for me, I captured it very well, but I fully understand why for a lot of people it didn't capture it. Like they got the fully wrong message from the movie, and that's on the filmmaker. But I'm not going to review the movie based off someone else's interpretation of it. You can watch theirs and see that they hated it, and maybe you will too. But that's to say that the filmmaker probably, for some people, you'll watch this and you will despise what you are seeing and despise the movie for what it's portraying and the way it's portraying it. And I think that's just the filmmaker being unable to tell the story for people that don't have a certain background. But for me, I was it's probably either the first or second most emotionally moving movie I've seen this year. It captured a feeling I've never seen that resonated very much so with me that I've never seen anyone else capture on film before. So for me, that's why it's the number 1 for the month, and it'll probably be in my top 10 for the year. While, like I said, I fully understand why some people don't get what the movie's doing or think it's doing something else. And I really think that it's not doing what they think it's doing at all. But like I said, that's on the filmmakers. That's my list of the 9 movies I saw this month, ranked worst to best. How about you? Tell me your thoughts down below in the comment section. What movies did you see? What movies did I miss? Because I know there's been a lot of Good Times and some of these smaller movies. Lucky Lucky Logan, the smaller movies that have come out that I've missed and I haven't caught all those ones. Which ones do I definitely need to go see? Which ones do I need to skip out on because they're stupid? And there's like 5 of them that I would like to have gone to go see. They're just not showing near where I'm living, unfortunately, so I missed them. But tell me down below in the comment section, as well as rank the ones that you're thinking about checking out. Also, we're moving into a new month, and I've been talking about MoviePass because they just dropped their price down to $9.99 per month. And what that means is when you get MoviePass, it means you can go to see one movie every single day of the month for that single charge of $9.99. You can't see 3D movies, you can't go to IMAX, but they send you a card in the mail, you go to the movies, use their app, it puts the money on the card, and you just swipe it, boop, buy your ticket, $9.99. That's the cost of one ticket at nighttime where I live. Actually, less than the ticket. So if you go to the movies, it's an insane deal. You should check it out. I've got a link down below in my description. It helps out my channel. I would appreciate you sign up for it, but I am a member. I do use it, and that's how I'm able to go see so many movies is because of MoviePass. That's what I've been doing for the last, I guess now 7 months using it. So I'm a big fan of it. That's my take on it. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, I do ranking videos, but really, I don't want to just talk about movies. I want to talk about movies with you. So join me in the comment section. Tell me what movies you saw this month, and thank you so much for watching.